Dr. Amanda Clark brushed the dust off the ancient stone tablet with careful movements. Her hands shook slightly as she worked. The tablet was old, older than anything humans had ever found before. The symbols carved into its surface looked familiar. But that was impossible. This moon was thousands of light years from Earth. "Ryan, come look at this." She called to her teammate across the dig site. Dr. Ryan Collins put down his scanner and walked over. His boots crunched on the dry ground of the dead moon. Around them, the ruins of the Vextai civilization stretched for miles. Broken towers and collapsed buildings told the story of a people who had once reached for the stars. "What did you find?" Ryan asked, kneeling beside Amanda. She pointed to the symbols on the tablet. "These markings, I've seen them before." Ryan frowned. "That's not possible. The Vextai died out 50,000 years ago. They never made contact with any other species we know about." Amanda pulled out her datapad and scrolled through files. "Look at this. Remember the Mordith ruins on Kepler 442b? And the Flux temples we found in the Andromeda sector?" Ryan looked at the images on her screen. His face went pale. "These are the same symbols." "Exactly the same," Amanda said. "Not similar. Identical." "Captain." Jake Morrison's voice crackled through their comm units. "Dr. Clark, we're getting some interesting readings from your location. What's your status?" Amanda pressed her comm button. "We found something, Captain." Another set of the warning symbols. There was silence for a moment. Then Jake's voice came back, tenser than before. "Can you translate them?" Ryan was already working on his portable translation unit. The machine hummed as it processed the symbols. Ancient languages were his specialty, and he had spent years studying the patterns found on dead worlds across the galaxy. "It's the same message," Ryan said quietly, "word for word." Amanda felt a chill run down her spine. She had hoped she was wrong. She had hoped this was just a coincidence. But deep down, she knew better. "Read it out loud." Jake's voice came through the comm. Ryan cleared his throat. "The blue world's children guard what must never wake. Stay away from Sol 3. They are the eternal sentinels." The comm went quiet. Amanda could hear her own heartbeat in the silence. "Sol 3, Jake said finally. "That's Earth." "Yes, sir," Amanda replied. "That's Earth." Lieutenant Maria Santos was monitoring communications from the ship when the report came in. She had been a pilot and security officer for 10 years, but she had never heard Captain Morrison sound worried like this. "Maria, get me a direct link to Earth Command," Jake said as he entered the bridge. "Priority 1. "Sir, that will take 6 hours for the signal to reach them," Maria said. "Send it anyway. And pull up all the files on the dead civilizations we've discovered." Maria's fingers moved quickly across her control panel. Data files appeared on the main screen. 17 different species. 17 dead civilizations scattered across the galaxy. All of them had been advanced enough to travel between stars. All of them had left the same warning about Earth. "Captain," Maria said, "there's something else. I've been tracking the dates. When these civilizations died out." Jake looked at the timeline she had created. They all disappeared within 100 years of leaving these warnings. Some of them in less than 50 years. Maria added. Dr. Kate Williams and Professor Alan Brooks joined them on the bridge. Kate was studying tissue samples from various dead worlds, trying to understand what had killed so many different species. Alan was a physicist who specialized in things that normal science couldn't explain. "I've been thinking about the pattern," Alan said. 17 civilizations, all more advanced than us. All of them discovered something about Earth. All of them left warnings. And then they all died. "What are you suggesting?" Jake asked. "I'm suggesting that maybe they didn't just discover something about Earth. Maybe they discovered something about us." Kate looked up from her datapad. The biological evidence supports that theory. Each of these species shows signs of rapid population decline. Not war, not disease, not natural disaster. They just ... stopped reproducing. Like they lost the will to live, Maria said. Or like something took that will away from them, Alan replied. Amanda and Ryan returned to the ship 3 hours later. They brought more tablets, more warnings, and more questions. HFY had been a proud species. Their art showed them as explorers and builders. They had colonies on 12 different worlds. But look at their final works, Amanda said, displaying images on the main screen. Everything they built in their last century was defensive. Walls, bunkers, hiding places. They were afraid, Ryan added. The later writings show increasing paranoia. They started believing that something was hunting them. Hunting them for what? Jake asked. For knowing the truth about Earth, Ryan said. The final tablets are clear. They regretted ever looking toward our solar system. They regretted learning what humans really are. The team sat in silence, processing this information. Outside the ship's windows, the dead moon of the HFY rotated slowly. Once this place had been full of life and hope. Now it was just dust and ruins. Captain, Maria said, we're receiving a priority message from Earth. Jake straightened in his chair, put it through. Admiral Harris appeared on the screen. His face was grim. Captain Morrison, you need to return to Earth immediately. We've had similar discoveries on 12 other expeditions. The global space Council is calling an emergency session. What kind of discoveries, sir? Jake asked. The same warnings, Captain. On every dead world we've explored. Every single one. Harris paused. And we've detected something else. Gravitational anomalies beneath Earth's surface. Structures that shouldn't exist. The transmission ended. The bridge was quiet except for the hum of the ship's engines. Set course for Earth, Jake ordered. Maximum speed. As the ship turned toward home, Amanda stared out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 17 civilizations had learned something about humanity that had terrified them. Something that had made them warn others to stay away from Earth. Something that had killed them all. And now humanity was about to learn what that something was. The Global Space Council meeting room was packed with scientists, military officers, and government officials from every nation on Earth. Dr. Amanda Clark had never seen so many worried faces in one place. She sat next to Captain Jake Morrison. At the main table, watching as people filed in with grim expressions, Admiral Harris stood at the front of the room, waiting for everyone to settle down. Behind him, massive screens showed star maps with red markers scattered across the galaxy. Each red dot represented a dead civilization that had left warnings about Earth. Ladies and gentlemen, Admiral Harris began, we are facing something unprecedented in human history. Dr. Collins will present our findings. Ryan walked to the podium with a stack of datapads. His hands were steady, but Amanda could see the tension in his shoulders. He had barely slept since their return from the HFY moon. 3 weeks ago, we thought we had found an interesting coincidence, Ryan said. 17 dead civilizations, all leaving similar warnings about Earth. Today, that number has grown to 43. Murmurs filled the room. Ryan waited for quiet before continuing. Our expeditions across the galaxy have found the same message. On every dead world we visit, the warning spans over 500 million years of galactic history. The oldest message we've found comes from a species that died out before complex life even existed on Earth. Dr. Sarah Thompson from the London Institute raised her hand. Dr. Collins, are you certain these translations are accurate? Absolutely. Certain, Ryan replied. The languages are different, but the message is identical, word for word, as if they all received the same information from the same source. Admiral Harris activated the screens behind Ryan. Images of ancient tablets, carved walls, and metal plates appeared. All showed the same symbols, despite coming from species separated by millions of years and thousands of light years. Each civilization reached its technological peak, Ryan continued. They developed faster than light travel. They built colonies across multiple star systems. They seemed to have unlimited potential. Then they discovered something about Earth. Within one generation, they were gone. General Patricia Webb from the Joint Chiefs of Staff leaned forward. What do you mean by gone? War? Plague? Neither, Kate Williams said, standing up from her seat. I've analyzed biological samples from 37 different dead worlds. There are no signs of violence or disease. These civilizations just stopped. They stopped building, stopped exploring, stopped having children. They spent their final years hiding. Hiding from what? General Webb asked. Kate looked at Admiral Harris, who nodded for her to continue. From us, from humanity. Their final records all show the same pattern. They became terrified of our solar system. Professor Alan Brooks walked to the front of the room. He activated a new set of displays showing Earth from space, but with strange readings overlaid on the image. Yesterday, our deep space sensors detected massive gravitational anomalies beneath Earth's surface, Alan said. These readings don't match any known geological formations. The structures extend from the surface down to the planet's core. Structures? Someone called out from the back of the room. Artificial structures? Alan replied. Built from materials that don't appear on any periodic table. And they're old. Our dating methods suggest they predate the formation of the solar system itself. Amanda felt her throat go dry. She had suspected something like this, but hearing it confirmed made her stomach turn. Are you saying Earth was artificially constructed? Dr. Thompson asked. Not constructed, Alan said, modified. Someone or something turned Earth into something else. These structures form a perfect geometric pattern around the planet's core. It's clearly designed, not natural. Lieutenant Maria Santos stood up from her seat near the back. Sir, we've also detected something else. Long-range sensors are picking up energy signatures from these underground structures. They're active. Active how? Admiral Harris asked. Low-frequency pulses, Maria replied. They match no known energy source. But here's the strange part. The pulses seem to respond to human activity. When our population centers are more active, the pulses get stronger. Dr. Marcus Chun from the Beijing Research Center spoke up. We've been monitoring these pulses for the past week. They affect human brain patterns. Specifically, they enhance protective instincts and territorial behavior. The room erupted in conversations. People turned to their neighbors, voices rising in confusion and fear. Admiral Harris had to call for order several times. What are you suggesting? General Webb demanded. That we're being controlled? Not controlled, Dr. Chun replied. Enhanced. The pulse patterns seem designed to make humans more protective of Earth and more suspicious of outside threats. Ryan returned to the podium. This matches what we found in the alien records. Multiple civilizations mention that humans are different from other species. They describe us as eternally vigilant guardians. Guardians of what? Admiral Harris asked. That's what we need to find out, Ryan said. But every species that tried to find out is now extinct. Captain Jake Morrison stood up. Are we suggesting that Earth is some kind of prison? And humans are the guards? The evidence points to that conclusion, Alan said. Earth was artificially modified sometime before our solar system formed. Structures were built deep underground. Then, at some point, humans appeared and developed in ways that other species find threatening. Amanda finally spoke up. The question is whether we're guarding something or someone put us here to guard something. Either way, General Webb said, we need to know what we're supposedly guarding. Admiral Harris looked around the room. I'm authorizing deep core drilling operations at 12 locations around the globe. We're going to find out what's down there. Sir, Maria said, what if we're not supposed to find out? What if that's why the other civilizations died? Then we'll be very careful, Admiral Harris replied. But we can't live in ignorance. Humanity deserves to know the truth about our own planet. Dr. Thompson stood up. What about the other human colonies? Mars, Europa, the outer system stations? We're recalling all non-essential personnel, Admiral Harris said. Until we understand what's happening, we're keeping our population concentrated on Earth. That could take years, someone protested. Then it takes years, Admiral Harris said. Firmly, if we really are guardians of something, we need to understand what that means before we spread across the galaxy. As the meeting broke up, Amanda found herself walking beside Captain Morrison toward the exit. Jake, she said quietly, what if we don't like what we find? He stopped walking and looked at her. Then we deal with it. That's what humans do. We face problems head on. Even if it means learning we're not who we thought we were. Jake was quiet for a moment. Especially then, he said finally. If we're guardians of something, there's probably a good reason for it. Amanda hoped he was right. But as she looked up at the night sky through the building's windows, she couldn't shake the feeling that some truths were better left buried deep. Beneath their feet, ancient structures hummed with patient energy, waiting for humanity to discover what they had been guarding for millions of years. The first earthquake hit Tokyo at exactly 3:47 in the morning. Dr. Kate Williams was in her hotel room reviewing biological samples when the building started shaking. But this was different from any earthquake she had ever experienced. The shaking followed a pattern like a heartbeat. She grabbed her phone and called the emergency line to Admiral Harris. Sir, are you seeing the seismic data from Japan? We're seeing it everywhere, Harris replied, his voice tight with concern. Tokyo, London, New York, Sydney. Every major city on Earth is experiencing the same thing. Kate looked out her window at the city below. Street lights flickered in rhythm with the ground tremors. This isn't natural seismic activity. No, it's not, Harris said. Get to the nearest monitoring station. We need to understand what's happening. Kate grabbed her equipment and rushed outside. The streets were filled with confused people. Some were crying. Others looked angry without knowing. Why? Children clung to their parents, and adults snapped at each other over small things. At the Tokyo Seismic Research Center, Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka was staring at his computer screens in disbelief. The readings made no sense according to everything. He knew about earthquakes. Dr. Williams, he said when Kate arrived, these patterns are impossible. Look at this. The seismic data showed waves moving through the Earth's crust in perfect geometric patterns. They started deep underground and moved upward, like something was pushing against the surface from below. It's happening in 12 locations around the globe, Dr. Tanaka said. The same 12 locations your government chose for the drilling operations. Kate felt a chill run down her spine. The drilling hasn't started yet. We're still setting up equipment. Then something knows you're coming, Dr. Tanaka said quietly. Meanwhile, halfway around the world, Lieutenant Maria Santos was piloting a deep-sea submersible toward the Mariana Trench. Professor Alan Brooks sat beside her, watching the depth gauge climb higher as they descended into the deepest part of Earth's oceans. Depth? 8,000 meters, Maria announced. Still no sign of the structures our satellites detected. Keep going, Alan said. The readings showed something massive down here. As they descended further, their lights began to illuminate strange shapes in the water around them. At first, Alan thought they were seeing rock formations. Then he realized the shapes were too regular, too purposeful to be natural. Maria, Are you seeing this? I see it, she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Stretching out before them was a vast underwater city, but it wasn't built by any civilization they knew about. The architecture was impossible. Towers that spiraled in directions that hurt to look at, bridges that seemed to connect to nothing, and walls covered in the same symbols they had found on dead worlds across the galaxy. This is older than anything we've ever found, Alan said. Look at the way the ocean floor is formed around it. This has been here for millions of years. Maria maneuvered the submersible closer to one of the structures. Their lights revealed intricate carvings covering every surface. The symbols told a story, but it was a story that made Alan's head hurt to follow. Alan, look at the energy readings. Maria said, these structures are active. They're generating the same low-frequency pulses we detected from orbit. And they're getting stronger, Alan replied, checking his instruments. Since we arrived, the pulse rate has increased by 30%. Back on the surface, Dr. Amanda Clark was leading a team to investigate strange reports from civilians around the world. People were calling emergency services to report nightmares that felt more real than dreams. The nightmares were always the same, something vast and hungry, trying to break free from beneath the earth. Dr. Clark, her assistant, called out, "We're getting reports from every continent." The nightmares started exactly when the seismic activity began. Amanda pulled up a map showing the reports. Red dots covered the entire globe, but they were concentrated around the 12 drilling sites. It's like something is reaching into people's minds. Ryan Collins joined her at the command center they had set up in Geneva. His face was pale, and he looked like he hadn't slept in days. "I've been having the dreams too," he said quietly. "We all have. Every human on the planet is experiencing the same nightmares." "What do you see in them?" Amanda asked. Doc Ryan closed his eyes for a moment before answering. "Darkness, but not empty darkness. Darkness full of things that want to consume everything. And I can feel something pushing against a barrier, trying to break through." "A barrier?" "Made of human will," Ryan said. "In the dreams, I can sense that our minds are somehow holding something back, like we're a living lock." Amanda's radio crackled with a message from Admiral Harris. "All teams, report to your nearest secure facility immediately. We have an emergency." An hour later, Amanda and Ryan were in a video conference with teams around the world. Captain Jake Morrison was calling in from a military base in Colorado, while Kate was connecting from Tokyo. "The situation is escalating," Admiral Harris announced. "The seismic activity is increasing. The nightmares are spreading. And we've detected something else." The screen showed satellite images of the ocean, near the Mariana Trench. Professor Brooks and Lieutenant Santos have discovered underwater ruins, structures that predate human civilization by millions of years. Alan's voice came through the speakers from the submersible. "Admiral, these aren't just ruins. They're active. And they're responding to human presence. The closer we get, the stronger the energy pulses become." "What kind of responses?" Admiral Harris asked. "The structures are changing," Maria answered. "Walls are shifting, passages are opening. It's like the city is waking up." Kate spoke up from Tokyo. "Sir, I need to report something else. The biological effects on the human population are intensifying. People are becoming more aggressive, more protective of their territory. But there's a pattern to it." "What kind of pattern?" "Families are clustering together. Communities are forming defensive groups. It's like every human on Earth is preparing for some kind of siege, but they don't know what they're defending against." Ryan looked at his datapad. "I've been analyzing the ancient texts from the dead civilizations. They mention something called the Great Sleep and the Watchers Who Never Rest. I think we're the Watchers." "Watching what?" Jake asked Dot before anyone could answer. The lights in every facility around the world flickered in unison. The seismic monitors showed a massive spike in activity from all 12 drilling sites simultaneously. "Something's happening," Alan reported from the deep ocean. "The structures down here are lighting up. Energy patterns are spreading through the entire complex." On the surface, people around the world stopped what they were doing and looked up at the sky. They couldn't explain why, but every human on Earth suddenly felt the same thing. Something ancient and terrible was stirring beneath their feet. In her hotel room in Tokyo, Kate Williams felt tears running down her face, without knowing why. She looked out at the city and realized that every person she could see was crying too. But they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of determination. Somewhere deep in the collective human consciousness, an ancient duty was awakening. Humanity was remembering its purpose, even if it didn't yet understand what that purpose was. The guardian instinct that had kept something locked away for millions of years was getting stronger, and whatever they were guarding was starting to push back. The ice beneath Antarctica was 2 miles thick, but the drilling equipment cut through it like butter. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the control room of the mobile research station, watching the depth counter climb steadily downward. They had been drilling for 18 hours straight. "Depth, 10,000 feet, reported the technician, still hitting solid ice. Dr. Amanda Clark studied the readings on her screen. The satellite scans showed something massive down there, a structure larger than any building humans have ever constructed. Ryan Collins looked up from his translation work. The predecessor texts mention a house of memories hidden beneath the white desert. I think this is what they meant. 3 days earlier, deep space telescopes had detected the ruins of an ancient space station drifting in the outer solar system. The station was billions of years old, but it still contained functioning data storage systems. The information they found changed everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the universe. "Captain," the technician called out, "we're hitting something different. Metal, I think." Jake leaned over the control panel. "How much metal?" "Sir, it's not just metal. It's a structure. And it's huge." Within an hour, they had cleared enough ice to reveal a doorway. The metal was black and smooth, covered in symbols that made Ryan's translation equipment spark and smoke when he tried to scan them. "These symbols are different," Ryan said, fitting a new power cell into his scanner. "They're not like anything we found on the dead worlds. These are older, much older." Dr. Kate Williams approached the doorway with her biological sensors. "I'm not detecting any life signs, but there's definitely energy inside. The same type of energy we found in the ocean ruins." Amanda touched the metal surface. It was warm, despite being buried under miles of ice for millions of years. "The door is responding to our presence. Look." The symbols on the doorway began to glow with soft blue light. Lines of energy spread across the surface like veins, forming patterns that seemed to pulse with their own heartbeat. "Should we go inside?" Kate asked. Jake checked his weapons and communication equipment. "We didn't come this far to turn back now. But we stay together, and we leave at the first sign of danger." The doorway opened with a sound like thunder. Beyond it, a corridor stretched into darkness. The walls were covered with the same glowing symbols, providing enough light to see by Dot as they walked deeper into the structure. Ryan worked to translate the symbols they passed. "These are historical records," he said, "but they're talking about events from billions of years ago, before our galaxy was formed." The corridor opened into a vast chamber. At its center stood a pillar of crystal that rose from floor to ceiling. Inside the crystal, lights swirled like captured stars. "It's a data storage system," Amanda breathed. "But it's enormous. This thing could hold the entire history of the galaxy." Kate approached the crystal with her scanner. "It's responding to us. The energy patterns are changing." Without warning, the crystal flared with brilliant light. The chamber filled with images, not on screens, but floating in the air. Around them like holograms. The images showed the galaxy as it once was, billions of years ago. A voice spoke in their minds, not in words, but in pure understanding. They saw civilizations spanning thousands of star systems, species that had evolved beyond physical form, living as pure energy and thought. A golden age that lasted for millions of years. Then the images changed. Something came from outside the galaxy. Not ships or armies, but entities that existed in the spaces between reality. They consumed everything they touched, matter, energy, time itself. Wherever they went, existence simply stopped. The Devourers, Ryan whispered, somehow knowing the name without being told. The surviving civilizations tried to fight. But how? Do you battle something that eats reality itself? Weapons passed through the entities without effect. Energy attacks were absorbed and turned against their creators. Entire star systems vanished as if they had never existed. The images showed desperate meetings of species that had never worked together before. Scientists and philosophers searching for any solution to the invasion. Then, finally, a discovery. The entities existed partially outside normal space-time, but they needed anchor points in real space to maintain their form. They found a way to trap them, Amanda said, understanding flooding her mind. The images showed the greatest engineering project in galactic history. Thousands of species working together to create a prison that existed in folded space-time. But the prison needed guardians, beings, who could exist partially outside normal reality while remaining anchored in the physical universe. Humans, Jake said quietly. The voice in their minds confirmed it. Humanity was created from the genetic material of dozens of different species, each contributing something unique. The emotional complexity of the Centauri, the protective instincts of the Mordith, the stubborn determination of the Vextai, and many others. But humans were more than the sum of their parts. The combination created something new, a species that could think and feel across multiple dimensions simultaneously. This made them perfect guardians for a multi-dimensional prison. We're not natural, Kate said, her voice shaking. We're artificial, created for one purpose. The crystal showed them Earth as it truly was, not just a planet, but a prison. The structures beneath the surface were locks, and human consciousness was the key that kept them sealed. Every human emotion, every thought, every dream helped maintain the containment field that kept the Devourers trapped. That's why the other civilizations died, Ryan realized. When they learned the truth about us, they tried to free us from our burden. But weakening our connection to Earth weakened the prison. The images showed civilization after civilization making the same mistake. They would discover humanity's true purpose and try to help by relocating humans to other worlds, or by taking over guard duty themselves. But nothing else could maintain the prison. Only human consciousness, with its unique ability to exist in multiple realities, could keep the Devourers locked away. And every time the prison weakened, Amanda said, the Devourers reached out and consumed the civilization that tried to help. The crystal showed them the current situation. Human expansion into space was creating small tears in the containment field. Not enough to free the Devourers completely, but enough to let their influence seep out. This was causing the nightmares, the aggression, the sense of impending doom that people around the world were feeling. But there's more, Jake said, studying the images carefully. Show us what happens if the prison fails completely. The crystal displayed a vision of horror. The Devourers breaking free and spreading across the galaxy like a plague of nothingness. Stars going out, not because they exploded or burned out, but because they simply ceased to exist. The universe itself being eaten away piece by piece until nothing remained. How long do we have? Kate asked. The answer came as a feeling rather than words. Days, perhaps weeks, before the weakening became irreversible. The prison was failing, and humanity faced an impossible choice. They could abandon space exploration and return every human to Earth, strengthening the prison, but trapping themselves forever on one world. Or they could continue expanding across a galaxy, weakening the prison until the Devourers broke free and destroyed everything. There has to be another option, Amanda said. The beings who created this system, they were smart enough to build a perfect prison. They must have planned for this situation. The crystal pulsed with new images. There was a third choice, but it required humanity to evolve beyond their current form, to become something that could maintain the prison while still exploring the stars. But evolution was dangerous, and failure would mean the end of everything. As the images faded, the teens stood in silence, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what they had learned. They were not just guardians of a prison. They were the only thing standing between the universe and complete annihilation. "We need to get this information back to Earth," Jake said finally. "Humanity deserves to know what they're really protecting." But as they turned to leave, alarms began blaring from their communication equipment. The surface team was calling with urgent news. Something was happening at all 12 drilling sites simultaneously. The prison was destabilizing faster than anyone had predicted. Time was running out. The emergency alarms echoed through the Antarctic Research Station as Captain Jake Morrison and his team raced back to the surface. Above them, the ice was cracking in perfect geometric patterns, following the same designs they had seen on the thin alien structures below. "Surface team, report," Jake called into his radio as they climbed. "Captain, we've got a situation," came the reply from Lieutenant Maria Santos. "All 12 drilling sites are showing massive energy spikes, and sir, we're detecting incoming ships." "What kind of ships?" "Not human, sir. They're big, and they're heading straight for Earth." When they reached the surface, Amanda Clark immediately connected to the global communication network. Screens around the world showed the same terrifying sight, dozens of alien vessels approaching from deep space. They were larger than anything humanity had ever built, and their designs were unlike the ruins they had found on dead worlds. Dr. Ryan Collins was already working on translating the messages coming from the ships. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," he said, his voice tight with stress. "It's the same message, repeated over and over." "What does it say?" Jake asked. Ryan's face went pale as he read the translation. "The Guardians have failed. The seals are breaking. Containment Protocol 7 must be activated immediately." Admiral Harris appeared on the main communication screen from his command center in Colorado. "Captain Morrison, we need that information from the Antarctic site immediately. These ships are demanding we surrender all humans to them for immediate relocation." "Relocation where?" Amanda asked. "They haven't said. But their weapons are targeting every major population center on Earth. They're giving us 6 hours to comply." Kate Williams was monitoring the biological effects around the globe. "Admiral, the human population is reacting strangely to these ships. Instead of panic, people are getting angry, really angry. Like something is making them want to fight. The guardian instinct," Jake realized. "Our programming is kicking in. Humans are responding to a threat to the prison." Professor Alan Brooks joined the conversation from his deep-sea submersible. "I can confirm that. The underwater structures are going crazy down here. Energy levels have increased by 500% since those ships appeared, and the Devourers inside the prison are responding to the activity." "How can you tell?" Admiral Harris asked. "The containment field is showing stress fractures," Alan replied. "Whatever's in there is pushing harder against the barriers. I think it knows rescue might be coming." Amanda pulled up the data they had recovered from the predecessor records. "According to this, there have been other attempts to break humans away from Earth. The alien civilizations that survived the Devourer attacks by hiding in distant space. They've been watching us. Watching us for what? Admiral Harris asked. For signs that the prison is failing, Ryan answered. When human space expansion reaches a certain point, the containment becomes unstable. That's when they intervene. Jake studied the ancient records. But their intervention always makes things worse. They don't understand that moving humans away from Earth weakens the prison even more. So they're trying to save the galaxy by destroying humanity's connection to Earth, Kate said. They think they can replace us with artificial guardians. Maria's voice crackled over the radio from orbit. Captain, I'm picking up additional ships. Smaller ones, but there are hundreds of them. They're surrounding Earth. On screens around the world, people watched as the alien fleet took positions around their planet. The ships were sleek and advanced, clearly built by civilizations far older than humanity. Their weapons could probably destroy Earth's entire military in minutes. They're not here to negotiate, Admiral Harris said grimly. This is an invasion designed to look like a rescue. Dr. Marcus Chun from Beijing joined the communication link. Admiral, we're detecting massive changes in human brain patterns worldwide. The low-frequency pulses from underground are getting stronger, and people are responding. How are they responding? They're organizing. Without any government coordination, humans are forming defensive groups. They're building barriers around the drilling sites. It's like every person on Earth knows exactly what needs to be protected. Amanda looked at the global population maps. It's happening everywhere. Farmers are leaving their fields to guard the drilling sites. Office workers are walking away from their jobs. Children are having dreams that tell them where to go. The Guardian programming is taking over, Jake said. Humanity is becoming what it was designed to be. Admiral Harris was quiet for a moment. Can we fight them? With conventional weapons? No, Jake replied. But look at this data from the predecessor records. The prison wasn't just designed to hold the devourers. It was designed to use them. Ryan leaned over Amanda's shoulder to read the ancient text. The Guardians can channel the devourers' reality-eating power through the prison. Matrix. Turn it into a weapon. A weapon that could destroy those ships? Admiral Harris asked. A weapon that could erase them from existence completely, Amanda said quietly. But using it is dangerous. We would be opening tiny holes in the prison wall. If we lose control, even for a second, the devourers break free and consume everything, Kate finished. Alan's voice came from the deep ocean. I hate to add to the pressure, but the stress fractures in the containment field are spreading. Whether we use the weapon or not, this prison is going to fail soon. Maybe in hours, not days. The alien ships began broadcasting again. Ryan translated the new message in real time. They're demanding immediate evacuation of all humans from Earth. They say they will provide new worlds for us to live on. Far from the prison, they claim it's for our own good. And if we refuse? Admiral Harris asked. They will remove us by force. They have weapons that can put entire populations to sleep and transport them. No violence, no deaths, just complete relocation. Jake looked at his team. So our choices are, let them relocate humanity and hope they can maintain the prison without. U.S. Try to fight them with weapons that might destroy the prison, or do nothing and watch the containment fail anyway. There's a fourth option, Amanda said, pointing to a section of the predecessor records they hadn't fully explored yet. Evolution. The records mention that the Guardian species can evolve to handle larger areas of space. Humanity could become something that can maintain the prison while living on multiple worlds. What kind of evolution? Kate asked. The records aren't clear, but it involves human consciousness expanding beyond individual bodies. Some kind of collective awareness that can span star systems. That doesn't sound like humanity anymore, Maria said from orbit. Maybe it doesn't have to be, Jake replied. Maybe the next step in human evolution is becoming something bigger than what we are now. Admiral Harris checked his watch. We have 4 hours before the aliens start their forced evacuation. Whatever we decide, we need to decide fast. Around the world, humans were gathering at the drilling sites without any coordination from there. Governments, families brought food and tools. Scientists brought equipment. Soldiers brought weapons. Everyone brought determination. In the deep ocean, ancient structures glowed brighter as the prison's inhabitants sensed the approaching crisis. The devourers pushed against their constraints, hungry for the chance to escape and consume reality itself. And in space, alien ships prepared to save the galaxy by destroying humanity's connection to the only world they had ever known. The next few hours would determine not just the fate of humanity, but the survival of everything that existed. The alien ships began their descent toward Earth exactly 4 hours after their ultimatum. Captain Jake Morrison stood at the command center in Antarctica, watching the radar screens fill with incoming vessels. Around the world, millions of humans had gathered at the 12 drilling sites without any government orders telling them to do so. It's starting, Lieutenant Maria Santos reported from her fighter jet above the Antarctic station. The alien ships are releasing some kind of energy field. People in the cities are falling asleep. Dr. Amanda Clark monitored the global situation from her position at the main drilling site. They're not hurting anyone. The energy field just makes people unconscious so they can be transported without resistance. How long until they reach the drilling sites? Jake asked. 30 minutes, Maria replied. But Captain, the people gathering here aren't falling asleep. The energy field isn't working on them. Dr. Ryan Collins looked up from his translation equipment. The Guardian programming is protecting them. Humans who are actively maintaining the prison can't be affected by outside influence. Professor Alan Brooks spoke from the deep ocean through their communication link. The underwater structures are responding to the alien presence. The devourers inside the prison are getting more active. I think they know something is happening. Dr. Kate Williams was studying the biological data from humans around the globe. The people at the drilling sites are changing. Their brain patterns are synchronizing with each other. It's like they're becoming part of a larger mind. Amanda felt it too. Standing near the drilling site, she could sense the thoughts and feelings of everyone around her, not reading their minds exactly, but feeling connected to them in a way she had never experienced before. This is what the predecessor records meant by evolution, she realized. Humans are becoming a collective consciousness, individual bodies, but shared awareness. Jake checked his weapons one more time. Will that be enough to stop the aliens? Before anyone could answer, the first alien ship landed near their position. It was enormous, easily the size of a city block. Strange beings emerged from it, tall, thin creatures with too many arms and eyes that glowed with their own light. Humans of Earth, one of the aliens spoke, its voice somehow appearing directly in their minds. We are the Zephyri. We have come to save you from your burden. We don't want to be saved, Jake replied, raising his weapon. You do not understand. Your species was created to be slaves, guardians of a prison that should never have been built. We offer you freedom among the stars. Ryan stepped forward. We've read the records. We know what happens when humans leave Earth. The prison fails, and the devourers consume everything. The prison is already failing, the Zephyri replied. We have technology that can contain the entities without requiring biological guardians. You can be free. And if your technology fails? Amanda asked. The alien paused. Then the galaxy will end. But at least humanity will not die as slaves. Around the drilling site, the humans who had gathered began to move in perfect coordination. They formed circles around the alien ships, not threatening them, but clearly not planning to leave either. "We choose to stay," Jake said firmly. "That choice is not yours to make," the Zephyri responded. "Your leaders have already agreed to evacuation." "Our leaders don't speak for the Guardians," Kate said. She could feel the connection to every human at every drilling site around the world. They were all saying the same thing. "We stay." The alien ships began to power up their transportation systems. Energy fields reached out toward the humans, trying to put them to sleep for relocation. But the fields hit an invisible barrier and dissipated harmlessly. "Impossible," the Zephyri said. "Our technology has never failed before." Amanda smiled as understanding flooded through her shared consciousness with billions of other humans. "You've never tried to move Guardians away from what they're guarding before." Deep beneath the earth, the ancient structures responded to humanity's collective decision. Instead of weakening, the prison barriers grew stronger. The geometric patterns that had been cracking began to repair themselves. Alan's voice came through the communication system with excitement. "The containment field is stabilizing. Whatever you're doing up there, keep doing it." But the aliens weren't giving up. Larger ships descended from orbit, carrying weapons that could destroy entire mountains. "If you will not leave willingly, we will remove you by force. The galaxy is more important than one stubborn species. Then you'll have to fight all of us," Jake replied. That's when the real change began. The humans around the drilling sites started to glow with the same blue light they had seen in the ancient structures. The collective consciousness that had been forming suddenly expanded, reaching out to touch every human mind on Earth. People in the cities who had been put to sleep by the alien energy fields suddenly woke up. Not just awake, but aware. They could feel the connection to the prison, to the Guardians, to the purpose that had been bred into their species over millions of years. "We are humanity," Amanda said, but her voice was echoed by millions of others. Around the world, "We are the Guardians. We are the wall between order and chaos." The aliens fired their weapons at the drilling sites, expecting to scatter the humans with displays of overwhelming power. But the energy beams hit barriers of pure human will and disappeared without causing any damage. "This is not possible," the Zephyri leader said, fear creeping into its mental voice. "You are just one primitive species." Ryan laughed, feeling the vast network of human consciousness supporting him. "We're not just one species anymore. We're what one species becomes when it accepts its responsibility to something larger than itself." The prison beneath the earth responded to humanity's evolution. Instead of being a burden that trapped them on world, it became a tool they could use to protect the entire galaxy. The containment field expanded outward, following human ships as they spread to other star systems. Kate realized what was happening. "We can explore the galaxy now. The prison moves with us. Wherever humans go, the devourers stay contained." The alien fleets found themselves facing something they had never encountered before, a species that had grown stronger by accepting limitation rather than rejecting it. Human ships began launching from Earth, not fleeing from their guardian duty, but carrying it with them to the stars. "We offer you a choice," Jake said to the alien leader. "Join us in protecting the galaxy, or leave us to do the job we were created for." The Zephyri ships began to retreat. They had come to save humanity from slavery and found instead a species that had transformed slavery into strength. Professor Brooks surfaced from the deep ocean with the best news of all. The devourers have gone dormant again. The containment field is stronger than it's ever been, and it's growing as more humans connect to the collective consciousness. Years later, Amanda stood on the bridge of humanity's first interstellar colony ship. Behind her, Earth glowed with the soft blue light of the ancient Guardians. Ahead of her, new stars waited to be explored and protected. She could feel every human consciousness in the galaxy connected to hers. Billions of individual minds working together to maintain the greatest prison ever built. Children born on distant worlds inherited the guardian instinct and strengthened the growing network. The galaxy was safe, not because humanity had been freed from their burden, but because they had learned to carry it together. They had become something new, not just guardians of a prison, but protectors of all existence. And in the deep spaces between realities, ancient entities remained locked away, held in place by the collective will of a species that had chosen responsibility over freedom, duty over escape. The universe was vast and full of wonders, and humanity would be there to guard it all.